Right, guys. So, Vision IT Technology is who we are, and you had a discussion with our admins and other people, and they must have told you about ourselves. And I'll just go and talk a little bit about us. So, Vision IT Technologies, we are end-to-end training and recruitment company. So, we don't only cater to trainings. We provide the industry with well-trained people. That is basically our mission and goal. So what we do is you come to us, we train you, and then we place you. So we are serving two people here. We are serving the industry and we are serving you. So we act as a bridge between you and the company requires the training, you require the job, right? So we kind of train you in that specific skill set, and then we provide you we give you a path so that you can go inside a company and you can actually work there. So training, for us, training is a bigger word. It's not just a smaller thing like we train you and then you just go and find a job for it by yourself. So we don't do that. We kind of train you from end to end. It's a word. End to end is very important here. Okay. And in the last, we have been working in this space from last 10 years, and we have a record of 100% placement. And I'll tell you the reason why we have that record. We have 100% replacement record because we don't leave you. We don't have a model wherein you come to us and then we say that our training is done and then you just go away. We don't have that model. We kind of continuously work with you unless you get a placement. So the reason we have this 100% placement is because we work so hard on you to make you skilled, okay, in whatever skills, whatever course you have joined for. We work on you so hard, and if you stick with us, if you continuously stick with us, then there's no situation where you won't get placed. That's the reason we have pointed here 100% placement. Okay. And I think these things we've already discussed with you in the past. If not, then again you can call me. I can separately talk on this matter. Right. Now I'll just don't walk you through all of these lines. I just summarized what it is and about this course, which is automation testing. And in the last session also I was talking a lot about why we need to do automation testing, why do we do automation testing, what are the job prospects for it, why it is so absolutely necessary for every tester to become an automation tester. And that is again very challenging task for industry, because all industry actually doesn't require a full-fledged manual tester. They need to have a tester is supposed to be testing everything from manual as well as automation, right? And the reason is they pursue so hard on it because the automation comes with a lot of advantages of its own. And we discussed that in the last session. I'll just walk you through the slides again, perhaps just to summarize. But the cost, the time, as well as the accuracy, these three things are the primary factor we need an tester to become an automation tester, because we don't want everything to be done manually, because it's costly, it's slow. If you do a testing activity manually, so it is costly, it is slow, and it is not accurate, because to err is human makes mistakes. So there's no guarantee that the person is able to find the defect. But in automation, if you are designing the automation test cases which you're writing in a right way, then the same test case will not ditch you. The same test case will work, and it will always test the same functionality again and again and again. And if there's a defect in that specific functionality which the test case is testing, then it will catch it and it will tell you that I have caught the defect. This might not be true with the manual person. So we have discussed all of this, and we are going to continue to discuss all of this moving ahead during the course. Why automation testing? I've already discussed that, right? But from the job perspective, so a lot of companies require it. No one wants to, every company want their product to be defect free. Every company want their product to be accurately tested. Every company want their product to be tested fast enough, quickly. And of course, they want to save money. And automation gives you those benefits, right? And because this is so promising, there is huge job market available in this space, that's called as automation testing, because there cannot be any software, let it be anything. It could be mobile app, it could be websites, it could be anything. There cannot be any application which doesn't go through testing activities, because there is a proper process in agile or waterfall or whatever software development methodology you're using, and we are going to talk about that. We require the software to be tested, right? So testing will never go away. Previously, manual testers were in high demand. When I say previously, it is, I'm talking about 10 years back or 12 years back. At that time, manual testers were like very important people. So testers will always be there, but now the shift is that manual tester should not only remain manual tester. It should have the skill set of an automation tester, so that it could do manual as well as automation. So now the trend is the manual tester, even in the company, they are forced to become an automation tester, right? And that is all of this I'm telling you to tell you how important this field is and how promising this automation testing area is. Okay. Last here is crack the interview, survive in the new job role. Now these two are different things. So when I was talking about this training, end-to-end training, this also is part of this. Now cracking the interview is one thing, and surviving in the job is new job is different. I have seen many people cracking the interview very easily. Of course, they worked hard for cracking the interview, because that also takes courage and hard work. So cracking the interview is one thing, but after you crack the interview and you go inside the company, how will you survive there? Because the things are very challenging. Okay, when you go inside the company, the products are complicated, the processes are complicated, even the people who you're going to work with are complicated. So how are you going to manage all of that? So we train you for both the things, surviving as well as cracking. Cracking, I would say, is easy. Surviving is difficult. So we actually focus more on for you to be able to survive. And our answer to this is that we give you exposure and experience of working in a very, very real environment, in a real kind of projects. Live, it's not a live project, but it's a replica of a live project. A project which looks exactly like that, exactly like a live or real-time project. And we design our course across that, around that process of project. Okay, so you will be doing a lot of projects while we do this automation testing. It's not only going to be me delivering the lecture and you guys listening and then you just mugging up the answers, and it's not going to be that. It is going to be very, very interactive, where I would force you guys and I will pressurize you to work on the project hard. Okay. Why I pressurize you so hard? Because this is important. As I said, you can crack the interview by just going through all the interview questions and mugging the answers up for 1 month or 2 months. You can do that, but you can't survive if you just do that. So I have to pressurize you hard enough. Okay. Now last is in this slide is curriculum. So I'm going to walk you through what we are going to do and what are the things which you should kind of expect during this course. And this is not an exhaustive list. So whatever we have here, these are just outlines, and we have a lot of other things as well which is not listed here. A lot of nitty-gritties and a lot of smaller underlying concepts which we keep on doing when we actually do projects. So first is we need to know Java, because without which you are lost. Nothing can work without, you cannot understand anything without having to go through the concepts of how Java works. So we are going to use the Eclipse IDE. I'm going to tell you how to run and debug, because debugging is of utmost importance. You need to know how to debug, and you can only debug something when you write something. So we work on a project, and then that project we're going to encounter a lot of issues, and I'm going to tell you how to debug those issues. Basic data types, classes, objects, OOPS concepts. Now this is very important, and if you have attended my previous classes, few of you I think I have already introduced these concepts in the quite beginning, because there's no point of, without learning these concepts, there's no point of you learning Java, because Java is an object-oriented programming language, and it's up to you how you would like to use Java. You can use Java in a very procedural manner. Just create methods after methods after methods, write your code there. Your code will still work, but it would be kind of bypassing these object-oriented principles. And when you do that, you kind of put you into a very dangerous zone with respect to surviving in the industry. Because in industry, when you see the frameworks, many frameworks are actually using object-oriented programming principles, and you need to know how they are applied. So if you are from IT background, you would know what is an object-oriented programming language, right? Or sorry, object-oriented principles. They're very easy to mug up: inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, abstraction. I mean, they're really very easy to remember them because you already have studied them. If you are from IT computer background, you know what this is, and you know the examples also. But how they are actually applied, what are the context in which these concepts are applied, that you only understand when you do a project and when you see a project. So I already have a base project where I have tried to implement these, and we are going to create a new project of our own as well, where you get to learn how these concepts are applied actually. Abstract classes, interfaces, how they interact, right? Polymorphism, inheritance, how parent superclass works, right? Why we actually use inheritance, in what situations we have to use those inheritance relationships, composition, aggregations, what are these things? So we need to understand how these kind of interrelate. Then the basics, of course: looping, if condition, switch cases, while loops, methods, functions, constructors, overloading, overriding, all of that will actually be part of these things. Then the most important concept which you're going to need and learn and use, because this is something on which lot of interview questions are being made, and sometimes if you answer the questions properly, maybe you just crack the interview that easy. So this is a very important topic which you're going to do. Exception handling, then file handling, file system handling, Excel file handling, database connections. So how will you kind of interact with the database? Why we need all that? You might argue, why we need all that into when we want to learn Java? Because these are important concepts in automation. If you are using an automation framework, if you want to work on an automation framework, these things will be inherent to it. These concepts will be there. If you go to a company, because when you go to a company, they will not ask you to create a framework. They will already will be having a framework. Your job, so this is like 99%, 95% times you will not be go and have to create a framework. You will have to work on an existing framework. And if there is an existing framework, these features would already be there. But if you don't understand what are these and how the code is written for these, then you will find it difficult to understand the concepts and difficult to understand or make changes in that. And if you don't understanding it, you will not be able to make any amendments, or even you will not be able to understand what it is. Then interfaces, abstract classes, Java 8 features, stream library, very important. Now we'll come to the next most important thing, which is actually at the last, but again, very important concepts, called as Java design patterns. Very few people who are in the industry, who are working, are aware about these design patterns. And I have included these patterns in my curriculum. The reason being, I have seen people working under me in my current org who are really very bad at these design patterns. And when they go and see the very standard matured framework where these patterns are implemented, they find it really very difficult to, they find it very difficult to understand what's really is happening. So these Java design patterns, we are not going to kind of do a PhD on all of these. We are going to understand their applications. So patterns are like, I don't know how many of you know what these design patterns are. There's a book in 1994 called as Gang of Four Design Patterns. I would like you to go through it. Just see what it is, what I'm talking about. If you right away, you can try searching on your laptop, you can. So Gang of Four Design Patterns, and there they have listed 24 patterns. So you don't have to go through 24 patterns, but the most important one called as factory, builder, decorator, iterator, strategy, observer, right? So there are few patterns which are very common in Java. Even I think if anyone has heard of collections, they would have known the iterator. Iterator in Java is based on a design pattern called as iterator design pattern. So if you already know what is iterator design pattern, you would find it very difficult to learn Java collections, because their iterator is being used as a design pattern, right? Now, next is design principles. Now, this is again another design principles other than object-oriented programming. So there are two different things: object-oriented programming and design principles. Okay, so object-oriented programming, of course, everyone knows, but these principles are addition to these object-oriented programming. Now there are principles called as SOLID or KISS. SOLID is single responsibility. This is, I mean, it's a complete, I should say it's abbreviation, but the full form is like single responsibility, Liskov substitution, interface, dependency inversion. O stands for open and close principle. So these principles we need to touch base. Again, if you want to become a better coder, you need to learn these things. So these are not for the beginning. So don't worry, I'm not going to introduce all these things in the beginning. First, we need to establish our foundation. So for at least a month, we are going to work heavily on Java side of things. We're going to learn all of this till here at least. Once we are kind of fully, you are able to understand all of these concepts, and when you are able to create a project where you have 5-10 classes where objects and methods interacting between each other, that means you are ready. That means you know Java now. So when you do that, when you are reached that situation, then we are going to start with Selenium. And while working on the Selenium, I'm going to introduce this. So it's not like I'll just first complete this and then I'll go to Selenium. So I'm going to complete this much, perhaps this much. And once this is done, then I'm going to directly jump onto the Selenium. And while working on the Selenium, we are going to introduce these concepts in our projects till here. Okay. Now Maven, which is very important. I'm going to talk more about Maven. We are going to start using Maven from today onwards, but not really we'll not deep dive basically in understanding what exactly it is, but we just need to know how it works and how to create a Maven project and make use of it. And later I'm going to conduct another Maven specific session where I'm going to explain how Maven works and what are plugins, phases, goals, etc. All right. Then this was about Java. I spent too much time on Java basically, but it was required. Now in the UI automation Selenium side of things, all of this. So Selenium, as I said, is a very, very small part of your whole automation journey. Okay. We use term Selenium automation and we think somehow that Selenium is the most important thing there, but Selenium is in itself is not the most important thing. Selenium you can learn in 15 days. That's all it takes. If you know Java and you know basics of testing and automation, Selenium will hardly take you 15 days. It's only 15 days course. Okay. Maximum one month, not more than that. Okay. So it's that small. So that's the reason we need to spend too much time in Java, and then we can spend some time on Selenium. Then once we do Selenium, then we also have to need to go through API automation, because that is again need of the market. As I said, when an interview will come to you for requirement, and when the interview come to us that we need resources, we have and they require the skill set. So when they send the skill set required or required skill sets, they need a complete full-fledged automation tester. They don't need a specifically Selenium automation tester. They need automation tester who knows UI automation and who knows API automation as well. However, their list is huge. Sometimes they also ask for UI automation, API automation, mobile automation, performance testing. So we cannot really do all of those things, but the top two are of utmost importance. That is UI automation using Selenium and API automation. Okay. So to learn this, we also need to learn the nitty-gritties of how API works, RESTful API, SOAP API, basics of API, how that works. So that also is a part of our curriculum. So we have to do Java, Selenium, and once one project is completed on Selenium, maybe we are going to jump onto the API side of things, right? Then comes the framework. Now this is not something which we do after all of this. So when we start doing this, at this very same moment, we start with framework also, because we learn while creating a framework. Because in the beginning, I was talking about that we learn in the form of projects. So we create a project and we'll work on that project. And while working on the project, we keep on learning these concepts on top of that project. I mean, that's the best way to learn, guys. If you trust me, that is the best way. Instead of learning topic-wise topic, it's always good to learn while applying the concept in an actual project. So I'm going to tell you a problem statement. This is the application. This is the framework which we need to create. I'm going to create some guidelines, some skeleton. Then you're all going to jump onto it, and you're going to create your own test cases and enhancements on top of it. And we're going to collaborate on Git, which is like the next thing. So we need to learn how a team works in a company, how a team collaborates in a project where you have 5, 10, 15, 20, 500 people working on a specific project. So how it is that all of them use the same repository to check in, commit, push, pull their codes and work on it. Okay, few of you, if you have heard of Tortoise SVN, if you heard of Perforce, all of that actually are source code management systems. Git is something which is of utmost, I think it has gained quite popularity now, and we need to learn it, because without this you cannot survive in a company. And interview questions are also being asked on how you would use Git in your project. They are again very important. Then we have testing methodologies. So we need to know how, because as I said, surviving is important. So we train you not only on the hardcore technical skills, but also on the processes and methodologies, etc., which is being used in your project. So we are going to use here Jira, and Jira is a paid tool, but we kind of take a trial version of it, and we kind of give you access to you so you can do some hands-on on it. These are for later actually. So once our course reaches around 50-60%, you are done with one project and you are in mid of a second project, that's when we actually pitch in these things. But yeah, agile and all those things we kind of introduce in the beginning. There would be some sessions in between about testing and agile and all those things, and we have well made slides and course material on it, so you can make your own notes, but I will also going to provide you some slides for your references. At last, 3 things. Continuous integration, again very important topic for if you want to work in a live project. Jenkins, how to set up Jenkins, how you'll make use of Jenkins to execute your test pack, all of that. Projects, so as I said, there will be 2 projects. One of this will be created by you, of course together, and second also will be created by you, of course together. We're going to work on it using GitHub. So every one of you will be working on a single copy of GitHub. We'll divide the work across ourselves, and we'll target to create at least 50 test cases for UI automation and 50 test cases for API automation. Now this actually becomes a part of a single project. So once we do this, and we try to complete this within 3 months, and once this is over, we then start with the next project. Okay, so we try to do at least 2 projects, and in each project we have one UI and one API. Okay, so 50 test cases UI, and second component for API, 50 test cases in API as well. That is our actually ultimate goal. Once you actually, even if you complete these 2, then you're good to jump into the market. So once you complete your first project, and before you start doing your second project, we kind of actually push you to the market. So how you will push it? We conduct internal mock interviews first, then we conduct external mock interviews. Lot of mock interviews we conduct. The reason for that is because we train you so hard. You have already, once you go inside a company to give an interview, you have already trained for at least 20-25 times. So 25 mock interviews already happened means that you have already covered 70-80% or 90% of the questions which the actual interview is going to ask, right? So we actually send you well prepared. And of course, few of the things you actually learn when you actually go to an interview. So when you go to an interview, and then you actually realize what is there which you are lacking, and then we kind of work on it together, right? And meanwhile, you also keep on working on a second project. So we kind of guide you until and unless you get a job. Any questions so far? So I'm done with this curriculum part. Any questions so far on what we're going to do, what we are going to miss, or anything? If you think something is missed in this, maybe you can, now is the time to point out. If you don't want to do it now, you can ping me separately as well. That should we be covering that, or should we be covering this, etc. Anything?